Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sacred Femme Alchemy. We're doing another episode of the Shakti Soul Sessions. I had to re-record it, actually just the intro, just because my partner walked in and was trying to talk to me, and I'm like, oh my God. Which is so funny because this is actually going to be a short episode about my relationship. And it was inspired by the fact that we are celebrating Day of the Dead. It's also the first day of Diwali, also the new moon in Scorpio, which I've been talking about for the last couple of days. And it just ties all together, right? This idea of us and Samhain, of us really transforming into this winter season and preparing for it, and using this as an opportunity to celebrate the different cycles in our life, to celebrate the fact that we can also transform and look at our shadows with the new moon in Scorpio, and also see how it ties into our previous relationships with family, our ancestral healing, and being able to break cycles of our different generations and how we can heal ourselves in the process. And when you tap into the healing, an opportunity to look at what chains you can break and what you want your bundles to be, what you want your inheritance to be, you actually help heal 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And so today I just want to talk about my relationship and how it has been one of the things that I am the most proud about. And today I went hiking with my partner. I told him I was teaching sauna today, and before I taught, I told him I just want to be in the forest. I want to do forest bathing. I want to be around the trees. I'm actually a forest girly. I love the ocean too, but nothing just makes me feel so much in a better place, very relaxed, peaceful, than just being in the forest, looking at trees, looking at mountains that are covered in trees. Like, I just absolutely love that stuff. And today I told him I just want to be in the forest. And so he looked up a place for us to go to and just do that. And while we were in the forest, I just had this moment where I was sitting on this tree stump, because I often hug trees, and I just love looking up at the different leaves and the different patterns and just being away from the digital life and everything. And he put his hand on my heart, and what he often does is just he rubs his hand on my heart. And it's almost working as a way to soften or just melt the ice sometimes that can be around my heart. I think I'm still just integrating from this past weekend, just how the different challenges it was, just helping and babysitting. And it just felt really good to be by myself or in partnership, but then just in silence and quiet and not having to take care of anybody. And so just slowly integrating that and the different lessons that I learned on a cellular level this past week that I haven't fully divulged to my audience, because some stuff it's personal, right? And today I just thought, I want to talk about that. And it reminded me of the very, very first time. And I'm someone that like, this is 3 years ago, like over 3 years ago, where I never took the time to touch my heart. And when I think about the different stages of my spiritual healing, it was very much mental. I was in 12-step community, and it was all just about learning the inner workings of your mind, how you think. And so just bringing so much awareness around that, and then often looking at how do I trace it back to my childhood, because I did many years of therapy, different kinds of therapy. And it was looking at it from that perspective. And then all of a sudden it was understanding the mind. And then I got into the body. And then the body was all about doing EMDR. It was doing breath work. It was doing EFT. It was dancing and connecting even deeper into understanding how certain emotions get stuck in the body and how you can utilize different modalities to help you extricate that and move that stagnant energy to heal out of you and just feel that flow and that spirit within you, that life force within you. And then that brought me to deeper practices, different type of spiritual practices, such as Kundalini yoga, which I'm very much in love with, and just the spiritual aspect of that and connecting more to my soul, getting deeper into different types of meditation and it's just really opened my eyes to so many different things. And, being in the spiritual journey of it constantly just always being in the mind, I've learned that with these three pillars, it truly creates a harmony and a balance of mind, body, and spirit. And it's this totality of who you are and showing up in a different way. And when I think about the first leg of my journey, it was a very raw and real experience of truly understanding what happened in my past that allowed me to have certain experiences where I show up in the world where I am afraid to use my voice, or I am afraid to speak up in certain meetings. I remember often feeling like that when I was in corporate meetings, or feeling like because I looked a certain way that I wouldn't feel valued, or that I couldn't push back. And that's often a cultural thing for me, because in Asian cultures, you often have to defer to your elders, and you're always supposed to respect them and just understand, okay, their opinion is right, their point of view is right. And so when you're in this American working culture and you're asked to push back in certain cultures, certain working cultures, sometimes people want you to do what they say, but especially in innovative tech companies, they want you to have a voice, they want you to have opinion, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what they're paying you for, right? And so that was an interesting hurdle for me to overcome and just say, oh, wow, it's actually okay and safe to actually use my voice here. And so that's when I started to really notice that there were these cultural implications, or the way that I was brought up, that really influenced who I was and how I showed up in the world. And I had to unlearn that. And then it got into the idea of me having to really connect to what is it that I'm passionate about, what is it that I want to do, and try and break that whole idea and that system of the immigrant journey of coming to America and having a corporate job, and truly breaking free from that and actually leaning and aligning myself towards my passions, even if you don't get support. And it's really hard too. And it's hard to break from what your family wants, especially when you are first generation, and in that disappointment feeling, right? Because you just feel guilty for what your parents sacrificed. And so there was the whole job aspect to it, and then there was a whole relationship aspect to it. And a lot of the times in immigrant families, you're taught to just do what your parents say and not necessarily have a voice into doing something different. And I knew that, and oftentimes a lot of the men are very much providers, and it's hard for them to express themselves emotionally. And so you often tend to choose and pick people who are emotionally unavailable in their feelings. They're good at providing, they're good at climbing the corporate ladder, but showing emotion, being there for you, being sensitive, it's not something that was common when I chose to date people. And I just, for a long time, I dated people that just weren't so great for me. And I was definitely choosing them from my maiden archetype, my maiden woundedness, and wanting to heal the relationship that I had with the masculine figure in my life through romantic partners. And when I learned that I was picking and selecting men and partners from my inner child, as opposed to being and invoking that inner queen in my life, I was recreating dynamics that was very similar to how I had a relationship with my own father. And until you learn to heal your relationship with your father or the masculine figure in your life, you're always going to end up choosing and end up dating and recreating that sort of dynamic that your parents had. And so for me, I knew, and this is why I didn't have a relationship for a very long time. I think I was single from 2016 to 2021. And of course, I had different flings here and there, but they only lasted for 3 months. I never dated anybody long-term from during those years. So after I had a long-term relationship in New York, I ended up moving to California, and I just wanted to focus on school. That was it. I was working full time. I was doing my MBA part time. I was driving everywhere. It was a lot. It was so much. I ask anyone who was friends with me at that time. My life was just effing crazy. And I had many lessons to learn. I actually, I have the draft of my book about all of those different lessons with each person that I dated, and all the different insights that I learned and how it helped healed me, and all the different layers of lessons. But ultimately, at the end of the day, at the time it did not feel good. But when I look back, I realized, wow, that was truly baptism by fire, and me going through this alchemical process of truly transforming all the woundings that I needed to go through. And it's only in retrospect when I think about how beautiful it is, because of I see the beautiful diamond that I am today. Right? But polishing that, and just how rough it was. And many times I felt despair that maybe I wouldn't find someone, maybe I should just give up. But going on the dating apps, going off the dating apps, having hope, not having hope, trying to look for signs if someone was emotionally available, and then getting your hopes up, and then having it work out for a couple of weeks, and then myself getting scared and then being avoidant. So I would often switch from avoidant to secure to insecure, and it was just this vacillating between all of it. And I remember when I met my partner and meeting him, and I actually talk about it in a podcast episode that's about to come out, and I'll share that on my socials of when it does, but on someone else's podcast. But I just remember that when I did meet him, I felt very secure, because I will tell you this: if you were analyzing the person's behavior of whom you're dating with your friends, then that's just a sure sign, a sure sign that maybe they're not it. And I'm saying that because you will never be left guessing or wondering how they feel about you. There just won't be any games. And at the end of the day, it's just who has time for games, right? If someone is emotional, if someone wants to have a relationship, they'll be upfront and honest with you. And they're just, and I can truly validate that, because oh my God, I was dating for a really long time. I was dating in the dating apps. It's actually how I met my partner, and going through that with many different people. I can't tell you how many people I dated in the Bay Area, my God. But it was an experience, and learning to trust and have faith. And I know sometimes it can be really hard when you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm doing all the inner work, but I feel like I'm not getting there. When is it going to come? Is it going to happen soon? And there are moments of feeling just those pangs of loneliness. So reach out to other people where you like each other enough, but you don't really want to date each other long term, and you fill that void, right? I had a couple people on the back burner who I would just reach out, because it felt good to know that I could if I wanted to, because there are moments when it is lonely, and that's a completely normal feeling. It doesn't necessarily mean that, oh my gosh, it's wrong if you reach out to someone, and it's just, we're all human at the end of the day. But needless to say, I just remember when I first met my partner, I never ever was left guessing or wondering how he felt about me. And it was just very much in flow, very easy to talk to him, very easy to be with me. We had a lot of fun right away. We had a lot of stuff in common. And he will even, it's funny when you hear your partner tell people about the story of how you two met and everything. And even for him, it was just, he just knew that he wanted to see me again. There wasn't, oh, let me wait a couple of days. If someone is calculated that way, it's just, oh my God, just come on. And so a book that I highly recommend is If the Buddha Dated. If you apply those principles, and honestly, if you just focus on your life, and people hate this, right? People hate this. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to focus on my life, and then all of a sudden it's going to work out, or it's when you least expect it. But it's because you're so focused on you. And I was actually talking about it the other day with a girlfriend of mine, where she said, oh my gosh, my partner gets hit on a lot. And it's because he even said, he's like, it's because he's in a relationship now. He said before he wasn't dating, he's like, he would never get hit on. And it's true. It's like that security that you have within you, where people start to pick up on that, because they know that you're not desperate. They know that you're not needy. They know that you love your life. You know that when someone comes to step into it, that it's just this moment of pure, what can I add to it, instead of trying to fill that hole, because you feel fulfilled, you feel whole within yourself. And I just remember all those different moments of being with him. And it was only a couple weeks when I realized, oh my gosh, I really like this guy. And we only dated for 3 weeks. And you can look back into some of my earlier episodes, how I talk about our whole story, and, you know, how he had to leave to go to Denmark, and we were apart for 16 months. We didn't talk to each other, but we just have a beautiful story, and we've just grown so much together. And he's really opened my heart to becoming more loving, to sharing more of myself. And it takes time, right? It takes time to fall in love even deeper. It takes time to understand each other's shadows and how does that integrate with yours. And you do come to a certain point where there is that milestone in that relationship where you think, okay, do I want to go a step further? Like, it's just a honeymoon period for the first year, and then the next 2 years it's okay, living together, and can we do this? Or I want you as a life partner, and can we actually make it work? Are we truly compatible? Because let's be honest, we don't talk about compatibility until the hormones have recalibrated and you're actually looking at the other person from a judicious perspective where you feel truly there, you feel fully present, and you're thinking, okay, how do we like to spend our money? Where do we like to live? What are the values we have for our life? Do we want kids? And you think about those things, and sometimes people do. They separate because money issues or what have you, and you understand each other's love languages. And so it just becomes this like whole process. But at the end of the day, I realized that I'm really like, he is one of my, or just choosing a partner that is healthy, that treats me well. We used to fight a lot in the beginning because I had a lot of wounding that came out. Honestly, it's hard when you're trying to date someone and all those woundings come up. But when you're actually choosing to be in a committed relationship, that's when even more of the Pandora's box opens and it becomes a different box that you didn't even know you had. And so I had a lot of stuff to work on and a lot of things that I felt insecure about. And so I feel really grateful that that I did the work and pushed through that. I was seeing 2 therapists at the time because I couldn't find a coach. I seriously remember looking for a coach thinking, oh my God, there are so many people that help you try and find the right partner, but there are no coaches that help you how to stay in a relationship. And I'm not talking about the type of coaches that try and help you to stay in a relationship when you know it's not right for you, because honestly, let's be real. A relationship is not right for you when you are constantly breaking up. That's not a relationship. Would you stay with an employer, or would you have an employee on your staff if you kept firing them and then hiring them? No. So why do we actually allow that in our romantic relationships? On and off. If you're on and off, then you just need to be off. I am going to put that as my opinion out there. And it's not healthy, because if you think about bringing a child into that, they're going to know instability, and they're going to have an unstable relationship, and they're going to think that it's love, and it's not, because it doesn't help with your nervous system, and you need to create consistency and stability and foundations. That's security. That's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all of that stuff. And so I remember I was so used to that. And then my partner even asked me, he was like, do you like fighting with me? I took so much offense to that. And then I realized in retrospect, actually, well, you're not the first person that said that to me. There was one guy who I dated, also European. But apparently also all the Danish girls, they're very even-keeled in their emotion, like their temperament. You know what you're going to get with them. And I told my partner, I said, oh, I'm Filipino and I'm American. And I'm like, you just get a mixed bag with me, but it's me. I'm very emotional. I'm also Cancer and Gemini. So you just never know what you're going to get. But it's just been so beautiful with him. And it's funny, I was in the car with him and I said, what should I talk about with my podcast today? And he said, oh, you can talk about me. And so I thought, oh, okay. And how I took you to the forest because you wanted to go to the forest. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. And I'll tie it into Day of the Dead. And so, I don't talk about my relationship with him as much as I did before, but it is one of my greatest accomplishments, is to choose someone that has never called me the B word. Never called me the B word. In fact, when we do fight, he still calls me scatter. And scat is actually a term of endearment in Danish, which is like sweetheart or treasure, or if you can think about it as babe. And he's very level-headed temperament, never gets angry with me, never raises his voice, takes care of me when I feel really sick, is really kind and nice to me, and just has a really beautiful heart. And you can tell because a lot of children really love hanging out with him. He's a lot of children's best friends. In fact, my nephews like him more than me. Oh, it's so funny. Anything at the end of the day, I think about it, my my inner child did choose him too. Chose someone who was loving, who was kind. And when you think about it, when you get into a relationship, you always bring your inner child with you. And so you need to learn and assess, does this person make my inner child feel safe? And how does it make my inner queen feel? And does she feel seen? Does she feel respected? Does she feel like her partner wants to get to know her? Does she feel like her partner values her? Does she feel like her partner understands her? Can she feel safe to share with her partner what's going on? All those different things. Does she feel like she has a voice? Does she feel like that she can voice something and that her partner will respect her and create change in the life of really wanting to fulfill the other person's needs, but then also knowing when to compromise and be level-headed and do things together and create together and have a shared vision together. And we'll often talk about different goals that we have, individual goals, but then we'll also think about, okay, in the future, what are our shared goals? What do we want for ourselves? What kind of future do we want to build? What does it look like with children? And all of these different things. And those are adult conversations that you need to have as you become more serious. And I think when I was younger before, I never really talked about those things. And I always chalked it up to, I don't know how to have a relationship. I don't know how to be healthy. I never had any models but you learn along the way. And obviously it helps when you have someone who's also healthy too. But then again, I think it's just a testament to the amount of work that I've done in being able to attract someone who could teach me and also meet me there. And I knew right away, because I was always constantly creating a list of an ideal partner of what I wanted, because I had so many different experiences of what I didn't want. And so for each person that I dated, I would have I would create a list of what it was that I enjoyed about them, what it was that I thought that they could improve on, areas of opportunity, and what did I learn about myself? Where could I have done better? And so it was almost like this post-mortem debrief of every single relationship I had. It didn't matter how long or short it was, because I was always learning something. And then ultimately at the end of the day, the insights would make it on my ideal list of who I wanted. And then I had this really long list. And I remember sharing it with one of my girlfriends, and she said, "Oh my God, girl, you're crazy. You're never going to find anybody like that." And I did. So booyah. And so it just shows you like this moment of decay, this moment of transition, this moment of leaves on trees and trees just becoming barren. You cannot make space for the things that are supposed to show up in your life if you're not ready to release the things that you are clinging onto. And so what are you clinging onto your life? What are those old patterns? What are those old habits? You often complain about that. They're the ones that cause the most challenge in your life. But what if you were the one that's actually impeding yourself and obstructing your opportunity to have that transformation, to have that alchemy process happen? What if there was no one to blame, but really think about what are the patterns that are stuck that you want to heal and that you have the opportunity to transform them yourself. And that's when the moment of empowerment starts to really happen. And if you start to look at those opportunities of those challenges with dating other people, or those challenges of being alone, or the challenge of time and thinking it's not going to happen, and just how do you have faith in the experience that you are currently in a certain chapter right now, but how can we create momentum so that you can have that desire of having a romantic partnership come through? And this is one of the reasons why I love working with women and helping them heal their emotional blocks, helping them heal their relationships and understanding and making more sense and meaning of what the relationship was like with their family. Obviously, you have a therapist, but we uncover stuff too, so that you can choose someone that's healthy for you. Because at the end of the day, we want to bring children into this world. We want to make sure that we're creating healthy patterns in our life and that we're creating healthy dynamics that children view, because we become the models for them, right? And the whole reason why I do coaching, the whole reason why I care about spirituality, the whole reason why I care about improving myself constantly is because I want to create a different paradigm. I want to create more healing in this world. I want to create more healing experiences for others. And it shows up in work, it shows up in children, it shows up in our future leaders. And that's why I love the goddess Isis. That's why I love working with her, is because she saw that in her story of wanting to have birth a new type of leader into this world. Often people focus more on the sex magic that she did and how she brought Cyrus, the king, back from the dead, but was ultimately in service to ensure that we also have a beautiful leader, a healthy leader, a right leader. And when you think about birthing new generations, it's really thinking about what are the treasures that you want them to inherit from you. And so you get to be the one that gets to pick and select what you want to pass down. And so it's so important that we do this work. It's so important that we do it together. And so if you want more help in this area, I love diving into this. I love helping women really choose healthy partnerships and understand that and parse out and really how to heal those patterns and really put down those toxic relationships. Because I do believe that you can find someone healthy. I do believe that you don't have to inherit those patterns and make them yours, because this is an opportunity to heal that ancestral trauma. This is an opportunity to heal those wounds. And so I will leave it in the show notes where you can reach out. I'd love to have a call, do one-on-one coaching, and book a discovery call. But anyways, thank you so much. This was a beautiful topic to really just share about. I can talk about it all the time, but this was supposed to be a short episode and it's 30 minutes long. I can just keep yapping about it. But anyways, have a beautiful evening and I will catch you all tomorrow. Bye.